I am using a Bengali accent today to tell you a story of the king in Bengal. This is the story of the shoes crafted for the king the first time. Let's begin. Very, very long time ago, when the kings and queens lived, there were obviously no trains, no helicopter, no planes, and no buses and no shoes. It is that long time. Where the king used to rule, King Hoboshanjo. He was a very kind and friendly king. He loved to care people and he always gone to a Podoyatra, means that he roam around his kingdom to check if everything is fine, his peoples are happy and living comfortably. On one sunny day, King Hobojonjo walked with his ministers in the kingdom doing a Podoyatra. When he came in his royal chamber, he looked at his feet and said, "Yeesh, how dusty my feet are. There is all dust over my feet. It smelled bad, it looked bad, and it was very smelly and yucky feet of the king." Then he said, "Yeesh, Uri Baba, what should we do? What will people say to me? See, the king doing a Podo Yatra has so dirty feet. Yeesh, what a king." Now, his embarrassment turned into disappointment, and then in disappointment, it turned into anger. And when the king is angry, he summoned his chief minister always. Then, like always, he today also summoned his chief minister, and the king told the chief minister Gogochondro. Then the mantri came and told, "Yes, your my majesty, what should I do for you?" The king said, "Yeesh, mantri Gogochondro, you call yourself a mantri. You are my Mukhya Mantri. You don't even care about me and how the kings feel. You only count money, paisa, taka. You are not a king, not a mantri at all." And then he told everything to his mantri. The mantri said, "I will solve this problem as quick as possible." The king said, "You shall solve it quickly, otherwise, khajak and pajak." The king meant that he would chop his head, khajak and pajak. Then the Mukhya Mantri didn't want to be khajak and pajak, so he ran his home quickly and think of an idea. He thought and thought for the whole day. Then he had an idea. What if there is no dust, there would be no dust on the king's feet? "Okay, soldiers, okay, take your brooms." Then he told 10,000 soldiers to sweep. Then he told, "Yes, soldiers, we will all sweep and there will be dust nowhere." Then the 10,000 soldiers with 10,000 brooms march around the streets and sweep. There were, do you think that will be dust all be clean? No. The dust was everywhere now. It was on animals, it was on people, it was on farms, and King Hobojonjo, "Achhi! Yeesh, mantri, you would be punished and done khajak and pajak if you don't solve this problem quickly. What a bad mistake it is. sticky, yucky, and mud all over his face and clothes. Then he gone to his royal chamber and cleaned himself. Then Mantri Gobo Chonjo thought of an idea. He roamed around the palace and roamed and roamed and roamed, and finally he got an idea. He told that he said to himself, "What if there is no dust? I will place carpets all along the kingdom, and there will be no dust, no problem, and no khajak and pajak." The Mantri marveled at himself. The next day, the king, Mantri Gobu Chonjo, ran in the palace and said, "Thank your majesty. No dust will ever bother your royal feet. I will place carpets all along the kingdoms, and the dust would settle down the carpets." And then he called the man and asked the king's permission to let him in. The king said, "Yes, let the man in." The man was very old and shrinkly. He said, "Maharaj, you live 1,000 years, you live 1,000 years." Then Mantri said, "Yes, Maharaj, he will solve your problems. He and his men will make big carpets to put on the streets." Everyone, the courtiers, the soldiers, clapped and screamed, "Mantri ki jai ho, Mantri Gogo Chonjo ki jai ho, Mukhya Mantri ki jai." And besides this cheering and clapping, the old man politely said, "Maharaj, what about covering all the street in carpets, just covering your feet? This would be more efficient." Then from his sack, he removed the softest leather and the finest silk and crafted the first pair of shoes ever made and wore the first pair of shoes. Then he covered the king's feet with the new shoes. Then the king said, "Darun, Darun, Darun, fantastic, old man." And then he rewarded the old man. And King Gogo Chonjo was very happy from now. Then Mantri Gogo Chonjo thanked the old man, and from that old man's help, he was saved from that khajak and pajak. This was the story of the shoes for the king. This is me, Sharvil, signing off.